Hi, it's Suyana here, and we're doing the discussion of Chapter 3 from the All-Inclusive Approach, the Art of Divine Remembrance. Chapter 3 is called Honesty is the Best Policy, and quite frankly, it can be kind of triggering for people, the content in this chapter, because it highlights how resistant we are conditioned to be in our modern day world. And so to be asked in this chapter continuously to release that resistance, to see that it is outlived its usefulness, and to invite in a state of acceptance that starts with yourself, which is where the all-inclusive approach always starts, with self-acceptance, and flows out towards and encompasses all of the experiences and interactions and relationships and dynamics that you are witnessing beyond yourself, can make people feel frustrated. So I just want to acknowledge that from the beginning. Maybe when you were listening to the chapter, it felt more empowering and you were inspired to take on that perspective of allowing perfection to include challenges and hardship at times, struggles and discomfort. Many things that would be associated with change, uncertainty, and the process of growth. But I want to acknowledge that right now because the process of self-realization, a lot of it is just really identifying your resistance to what is and reorienting yourself into a curious and open state to meet these things. Now, this isn't applicable to people who are in situations of abuse and violence and danger. Those are things where it's appropriate to immediately remove yourself from those circumstances and get to a safe place. However, when it's this inner turmoil that we so often experience, the feeling of discontent, the feeling of not enough, even if it is valid, even if it is justifiable, your solutions to those circumstances and dynamics are really not accessible to you when you're focusing so wholly and completely on the problem. It's like not being able to see all of the skin on your beautiful face when you have one blemish. You know what I mean? Like whenever you look in the mirror and your eye just goes straight to that blemish instead of looking at your whole face and being like, wow, my skin is so beautiful and clear, mostly. So as we're digging into this workbook content, going through the reflections and the journal promptings and the exercises and the quote to contemplate, I really want to invite you to remember your eternal nature. There is an underlying value to all experience, and the underlying value is the experience itself, because you're an eternal being. And being an eternal being, variety and dynamically different experiences and vantage points, and it's just so also important because it's so fleeting. It's like watching a sunset. You know that the sun is going to set again the next day, and yet when you're fully present with the experience of watching that sunset, it's magical. It doesn't matter that there's going to be another sunset. It doesn't matter that maybe you won't see another sunset for a week because it's overcast and it's raining. Because you were present with that moment, and that was magical. And you can be just as present with the moments of the rainy, cloudy days too. So that's the trick. That is the life hack. That is the practice. That is the art of inclusion. Is being like, whoa, those are such angry looking, ominous, daunting clouds in the sky. Whoa, like, I'm so present with this particular set of circumstances. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I really do. Because if you can start to understand this, or if you need a reminder of this, because that's the other thing that we're doing here, we're just remembering together. And there are moments where I need to be reminded of this. I can fall into beautiful forgetfulness just like the rest of you. And it is beautiful. Because when we forget, we're given the opportunity to be reminded. And remembering can be such a joyful return to self. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh, I forgot. I forgot, now I remember. That's so awesome. Huh. Yeah, okay. And so it goes. Because we're eternal. It's like, of course I'm going to forget. If I was remembering all the time, it would be like, yawn. Okay, so that's my little intro. Let's get into the meat and bones of this chapter's workbook content. So let me read the reflection to you. This chapter, Honesty is the Best Policy, is an invitation to trust yourself, your intuition, and your divine connection. It highlights the subtle but powerful ways Source speaks through us, whether through feelings, knowings, or external signs. Often, our biggest struggle is not whether we are receiving guidance, but whether we trust it. The fear of being wrong can keep us from fully embracing our intuitive gifts. Yet, the truth is that divine wisdom flows through all of us in unique and valuable ways. Honesty, especially self-honesty, is essential in the process of awakening. This chapter reminds us that our journey is not about striving to control outcomes, but learning to trust the unfolding of our experience. By releasing resistance and accepting where we are, we begin to align with our highest expression. And again, because I don't want this to perpetuate patterns of self-denial, where we think that we are going to compartmentalize and separate ourselves from the things that we don't really like, want, or feel as useful, and only give our acceptance and our acknowledgement to the things that we want to praise and enhance and welcome. It requires a entirely inclusive approach. That's probably redundant because inclusive means all, but still, if you are in a state of resistance, be fully in acceptance of that state of resistance. Resisting resistance does not dissipate resistance. It just compounds it. So in the process of self-honesty and self-trust, that is one of the things we're doing, is just really being clear and accepting on the state that we're in and how that is coloring our perception of the reality that we're experiencing. So I just wanted to make that that point. When you're ready to sit down with your journal, here are some journal prompts that help deepen the exploration and contemplation of this chapter. The first one is, in what ways do you receive intuitive insights? Okay, this is just a really good way of figuring out what your method of intuiting is. Is it through feelings? Is it through thoughts? Is it through sensations? Is it through signs? Is it through hearing messages or seeing visual images? Have you ever doubted your inner knowing? What was the outcome when you ignored versus trusted it? So this is something I can identify with so completely. There's so many times that I'll just get a very subtle, intuitive nudge in one direction or the other, and then my mind will dismiss that for logic or practicality, oftentimes most frequently to be considerate of what other people might want, or efficiency. There's so many times that I will ignore an intuitive prompting because it's not the most efficient thing to do. And when it backfires, I am then again reminded why we aren't always aiming entirely for efficiency. Sometimes the winding road is the most direct path to the destination you're trying to get to. So that's really great to contemplate and journal about. Another prompting for you is, how do you feel about the idea that everything, including challenges, is intentional and valuable in your growth? And then for me, I think a great way of applying this question is to just find one or two examples in your life and really expand on your relationship with those examples. Maybe it's about work, maybe it's about relationships, maybe it's about, mental patterning or the way that you are taking care of yourself, anything. How do you feel about the idea that everything, including challenges, is intentional and valuable in your growth? The fourth question is, what limiting beliefs about yourself or your abilities would you like to release? And again, this goes back into the question number 3. If you've already kind of entrained your mind to be viewing some of your limiting beliefs or challenges as intentional and valuable, then the solution or the maturing that can happen around those things is so much more accessible. Your arc of evolution is easier to see when you're in a more inclusive and accepting state of being. And the final journal prompting for this chapter is, how would your life change if you fully trusted that everything is unfolding exactly as it should? And then another little side note that you can do is you can just write 3 things every day that went the way that you wanted them to. 3, if you could, name and claim them as accomplishments every day. And it could be simple things like, I brushed my teeth exactly how I intended to brush my teeth, and the outcome was exactly as I expected it to be, a clean mouth. The simple things can really anchor in a sense of autonomy and presence and personal power. And you can do this on Post-it notes, which is really great because then you can kind of flip through them over the course of the week and start to notice how much traction you're getting in paying attention to the wins, to the successes, to the flow that you're in, to the intentions that you're setting becoming manifest outcomes. It doesn't have to be the big grand things. Sometimes that's too big of a leap in the beginning. It can be the small, subtle, persistent parts of our life. And then they can compound on themselves, just like our judgments and our resistance can compound on itself. Yeah? So the exercise for Honesty is the Best Policy chapter is a strengthening practice for self-trust. And all you need to do to engage with this exercise is find a quiet place and close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. And then think of a time when your intuition guided you correctly. And I want you to recall how it felt. If initially you doubted it, recall how it felt to accept the information and to act in alignment with it. And then place your hand over your heart and say out loud, I trust myself. I trust my inner knowing. I am always guided. Throughout the week, pay attention to subtle nudges, feelings, and insights. Write down any moments where you feel guided. And reflect on how trusting yourself shifts your experience and your perception of yourself. And throughout the week, I'd like you to also contemplate this concept, this idea. The divine is not outside of you. It flows through you in every moment. The only question is, will you trust yourself enough to listen? Will you be still enough to hear? I really enjoy these moments that we have together, and I look forward to continuing to have this time with you as you move along this evolutionary process. In the meantime, I would love to hear how everything is going for you, what your epiphanies are, what your insights are, what your challenges are, what your experience of this material is. So please leave a comment. Share it with people that you think that this will be helpful for. We all are really benefiting right now from support, encouragement, and information that will help us grow into the self-reliant, self-realized, sovereign beings that we were designed to be. And it's really a collaboration that we're in the middle of. So I would love for you, if you feel called, to participate in that by sharing this content, by leaving a comment, by clicking the thumbs up so that it's reaching more people. All of those little moments of inspired action bring more traction to this movement, and that feels really exciting.